Okay, we're continuing with Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes by Makepeace Rogers, alphabetical order. William Makepeace Thackeray. He's the author of Vanity Fair. He lived from 1811 to 1863, Victorian England. And he was real sort of down to earth with a folksy sense of humor. So here's just a couple quotes from him. She looked so haughty that I should have thought her a princess at the very least, with a pedigree reaching back as far as the deluge. But this lady was no better born than many other ladies who themselves give airs. And all sensible people laughed at her absurd pretensions. Sort of this huffed puff, inflated sense of self-importance in the Victorian age. Remember, it is as easy to marry a rich woman as a poor woman. And I would say that's true. If you're a guy, women always do it. They're always trying to marry a guy who's got money and, take his money. So men could do that to women too, especially all these modern career women. I've seen that happen in reverse. When the woman gets older, because then she becomes more desperate. Guys aren't attracted to her. So she wants to throw her money around as a way to try to get a man. But those usually end up just being sexual, not romantic, those relationships. I've seen them. Rich ladies who take a young guy so they can go on vacation to Florida because they don't want to go by themselves. Things like that. Somewhere warm. Or the Bahamas. Okay. Thackeray continues, mother is the name for God in the lips and hearts of little children. And that's true too. A woman in her own house, she's the queen, she's the matriarch, she's the most important person out of everybody. Whereas at work, she's just another, female who could be fired tomorrow, replaced with a piece of paper. No one cares about her. Okay, next to excellence is the appreciation of it. Yeah, you need a population that can recognize excellence, let's say in painting or something, if you want to have good painting. Like I was telling you, most societies never reach the level of what you would call civilization, where there's at least an educated, thoughtful, perceptive, nuanced elite. Okay, a good laugh is sunshine in a house. All right, next we'll do Margaret Thatcher. She was the Prime Minister of England from 1979 to 1990. That was back when there was hope for England. Hope for England and hope for the United States. It was the time when Ronald Reagan was the President of the United States. Ronald Reagan was one of the all-time best presidents of the United States. I remember it. I was there. People can write whatever they want. I talked to all the old guys. They had become rich because the economy was so great with Ronald Reagan. It's a fact, okay? I saw all the old men. The old doctors are getting paid 3 times, 4 times what they get paid now, okay? And back when I was a kid growing up, women didn't work. This women working stuff is all modern, okay? Where I was growing up, all my friends, their moms were home. That's why you could never have girls over in the house. The only house where we could bring a girl was the guy whose parents were divorced because they were poor and the mother had to work. All my other friends, their moms were home. And here's what she says. Europe can never be like America. Europe is a product of history. America is a product of philosophy. No, no, no. They used to say she was handbagging people because she would make a big fuss when she didn't get her way. She said, the feminists hate me, don't they? And I don't blame them, for I hate feminism. It is a poison. Anybody who studied feminism knows it's really Satanism. It's modernized, dressed up Satanism. Look at all these unhappy women. They put their careers ahead of their families now. They're, don't have any kids. They're getting old. They're lonely old cat ladies, okay? Happiness of a woman, all the women I've seen, it comes from their families. There's a few rare geniuses, Ayn Rand, Ann Coulter, Ann Osborne, that can get all their happiness out of intellectual stuff, but that's a rare thing. Okay. When I was single and I was dating, I was just starting to date, all the nurses told me, you're never going to find an intellectual woman. You're never going to find it. Don't even look, because you will never find it. That's what they all told me. That was like their unified point of view. And, as a man, you don't need the woman to be too intellectual. Yeah, it's nice, but the other stuff's way more important from a guy's point of view. Yeah, I certainly like an intellectual woman to talk to, but you never really even talk intellectual with a woman. If she's premenopausal, she thinks you're trying to hit on her, so you're never going to talk to her in an intellectual way, other than a brief transactional thing. Like, I'll call another female doctor on the phone and have a brief transactional conversation, but you don't have conversations with women, okay? Premenopausal thinks you're hitting on them. Postmenopausal, she might talk to you, but there's not that many postmenopausal intellectual women that I know. They're all married. You don't talk too much to a married woman. I don't know how to explain it, but I have intellectual conversations with men every day versus I almost never have intellectual conversation with a woman. And it's not because I want it that way. It's the women structure the world that way. Okay, guys don't structure anything. We just work all the time. That's a man's life. Work, 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 make a little money. Girlfriend or wife takes it away. Work, 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 make a little money. Girlfriend or wife takes it away. We're a bunch of chumps. We like women more than they like us, so they're always ripping us off. Okay, Margaret Thatcher continues. The first step in calculating which way to go is to find out where you are. A unified Europe is a classic utopian project whose inevitable destiny is failure. Only the scale of damage done is in doubt. Yeah, she predicted what would happen with the EU, that it would be a disaster and it would destroy Europe, which it has. It is and it has. Okay, the problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. Yeah, it's just a sophisticated Ponzi game way to rip people off. Socialists do not like ordinary people choosing because they might not choose socialism. There are too many people who, imagining that there is something sophisticated about always believing the best of those who hate your country and the worst of those who defend it. Yeah, that's kind of that same type of mentality has gotten into the USA and destroyed the place. You do not achieve anything without trouble, ever. If you set out to be liked, you will accomplish nothing. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. It may be the cock who crows, but it's the hen who lays the eggs. Okay, that's a good one, Margaret. All right, next one, just one quote from Robert Theobald, and this applies to the modern USA. He says, frogs will permit themselves to be boiled to death if the temperature of the water in which the frog is sitting is slowly raised, such that the frog does not become aware of its danger until it is too late to do anything about it. Gee, does that sound like the West?